Hi guys, welcome back to Fairies Tutorials. In today's episode, we're looking at food, nutrition, and health. Past paper questions on the topic accidents in the kitchen, and we'll be reviewing questions from 6 examination years. Want to find out what these questions are? Stay tuned. CSEC Food, Nutrition, and Health. We're looking at past paper questions for paper 2, and we're focusing on the topic accidents in the kitchen. Now, before we explore the questions under this topic, let us just look how this topic is outlined in your syllabus, right? So we looked at first aid treatment, the definition, how to apply first aid, also treating common injury in the kitchen, and these include burns, scalds, cuts, falls, electrocution, and also poisoning. There's also causes of accidents in the home and also how these accidents can be prevented. Now, as it relates to scald, it is a type of burn that you get from what? Hot liquid or steam. Now, as it relates to burn, we may speak of fire or heat, getting burned by heat. All right. Kazim sustained a minor cut to his finger whilst slicing a cucumber. List 3 steps in the first aid treatment of Kazim's finger. That's 3 marks. Now, even though it asks for 3 steps, we have about 4 outlined here. Now, let us look what they are. So first, we have to clean the finger. Next, apply under running water. Next, apply pressure to the cut with a clean cloth or bandage for a few minutes to stop the bleeding. If Kazim bleed through the clot, then we'll have to place another one on top of it, right? Next, use antibacterial ointment, right? If it's a minor wound, we could dab a little of this over the cut or cover the area with a bandage or gauze pad and adhesive tape. Next, go to the emergency room if the bleeding is severe or doesn't stop after 20 minutes of 5 to 20 minutes of direct pressure, right? So once there's a cut, clean it, running under some fresh running water, apply pressure to it. When the bleeding stops, we apply the antibacterial ointment and then it is bandaged, right, to cover. All right, now let's look at the next question, and this question was taken from the year 2018. Define the term first aid. 2 marks. Now, first aid may be defined as emergency care or treatment given to an ill or injured person before regular medical aid can be obtained, or if you want to say before professional care can be given, right? So that first treatment that is given to an individual that is injured is called first aid, right? Or we may say first help. All right. Next question. Explain 3 first aid procedures that should be carried out on a person who has been electrocuted while the arrival of medical assistance. So while we're waiting on the arrival of medical assistance, we're supposed to explain 3 first aid procedures that should be carried out, right? We have more than 3 here, but let us read what they are. So 1, we have to do what? Separate the person from the current source. How can we do this? We can do this by turning off the breaker or using a dry wooden broom to move the person away from the source. So never touch a person that is being electrocuted, because the current can transfer from their body to yours, right? And don't use any metal object to remove the person. So we use something that is dry, preferably a dry wooden stick, right, to remove the person. All right, next, If not, move the source away. You and the person, move the source away from you and the person using, as I said before, dry, non-conducting object made of cardboard, plastic, or wood, right? So after we have turned off the source, we remove the person from the source. Now, once they have been moved from the source of the electricity, then if they're unresponsive, we have to begin CPR, right? So if the person shows no signs of circulation, such as breathing, coughing, or movement, then CPR have to be administered, right? Next, try to prevent the injured person from becoming chilled, and then to apply bandage to cover burned areas with a sterilized gauze bandage if available, or with a clean cloth. And do not use a blanket or towel because loose fibers can stick to the burns, right? And of course, you wait. While we're waiting on medical assistance, we're ensuring that all of this is being done, right? So just to review, remove the person from the source. How can we do that? Using a dry, non-conducting object. So it may be a dry piece of wood, plastic, or cardboard. We begin CPR, keep the person from becoming chilled until the medical personnel arrive. Good? All right. Next question from 2015 exam. State 3 causes of burns in the kitchen during the preparation of food. And that's 3 marks. So 1, slipping and falling while carrying something hot. Good. Another cause may be pulling a hot item out of the microwave or oven without the proper protective equipment, and also touching a hot oven rack, right? So those can be the three causes that may cause someone to get burned during preparing food. Good. State 3 ways of preventing burns in the kitchen during the preparation of food. 3 marks. So 1, do not wear loose fitted clothing near open flames from the stove. 2, always use pot holders and oven mitts that are in good condition when removing hot pans or pots from the stove. And 3, don't leave food that's still cooking unattended, especially fried or grilled foods. The heat of the pot or pan may rise higher than you thought, causing the handle to deliver an unexpected burn. All right, so let us look at the accident. So the first one there we have is burns, right? Now, precaution: use correct protective equipment when pulling a hot item out of the oven or microwave, right? For the falls, precaution: dry spills on the floor immediately. For cuts, be sure to use a sharp knife to prevent application of too much pressure. So when we're using a dull knife, when we apply too much pressure, then it's likely that a knife may slip off the item that we're cutting, and then slice our finger and then cause a cut, right? The next accident is electrocution, and the precaution: do not handle appliances with wet hands. All right, now let us look at the 2011 exam question. Whilst preparing cabbage for coleslaw, Patrice accidentally cut one of her fingers because she was not using the knife correctly. Suggest 2 other factors that could have caused the injury. 3 marks. So 1, we have here using a dull knife because she have to be applying too much pressure, right? She may also try to catch a falling knife. So say that she was cutting the coleslaw and then she noticed that the knife was falling and then she tried to catch it, right? So whenever we're in a situation like that and the knife is falling, we step aside and allow it to fall. That's the safest way, right? Final one there, failure to shred cabbage on flat surface, which is maybe the cutting board, right? So she may have it in her hands and shredding away in the air in her hands, and by you know it, her finger got cut. Now the final question that we'll be looking at is questions from the year 2009. So Joseph sustained burns to his hands while preparing a meal. Suggest 2 first aid measures to treat the burns. So that is 2 marks. We have more than 2 measures here, but we're going to select 2, right? But let us read through the ones that we have. Cool down the burn with cool running water, right? Remove tight items such as rings from the burnt area. Avoid breaking any blisters. Apply a moisturizing lotion such as one with aloe vera. Loosely bandage the burn. And finally, take an over-the-counter pain reliever if that is necessary, right? So first, it asks for 2 suggestions. We could have cool down the burn, and then we remove any tight items such as rings or anything from the burnt area. So those are the past paper questions that we have discovered and answered. And if you notice, most of the questions are very much similar. They asked about burns, they asked about, in one case, they asked about falls, right? Cuts, right, is very popular there, and also electrocution. Now, the 2 that weren't highlighted in these questions are poisoning and scalds, right? So please remember that scalds are also types of burns, but it occurs because of exposure to hot liquid or steam, right? Now, the first aid treatment is very much similar to that of burn, as we have to cool the area and apply all those other first aid procedures as it relates to the burn. All right, you've made it to the end of the session. Please remember to subscribe, man. Hit that like button, turn on your post notification bells so you can be notified when there's another upload. Most important, share with persons who you know will find this information useful. Thank you for making it Ferris Tutorials.